Hey everybody, it's Ziz here, and this is a first look at crafting in Crowfall. We're going to check out all the harvesting, how you gather wood and stone and ore, and the different tools you'll need to do that. There's also quality of the items. You get a legendary piece of wood, and then how you use that stuff, crafting, the different recipes and components you can put together. There's also an entire experimentation phase where you can further customize the items that you make. And then lastly, the training involved. You can specialize if you want to be good at harvesting gold or iron, or if you want to be specialized in crafting. There's also an entire leadership tree where even if you don't want to gather yourself as the leader of a group, you can give bonuses and buffs to people who are doing that stuff. A whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Let's jump right in. Now, the first thing you can start gathering is going to be wood, and everybody starts with a default axe. So just run up to a tree, hold the F key, and you start chopping it down, and you'll see it drops little pieces of wood like that. You have to run over those items to pick them up, and trees will also drop apples and nuts and different pieces of food. Make sure you get those because harvesting takes your stamina. So you want to make sure you don't get hungry, keep eating food, also put your weapon away to keep your stamina up. This is a stone. There's tons of stones all over the place, rocks and stuff you can gather from. There's also larger stone outcroppings as well. They kind of look like this for stone. This is a copper one for ore. And this is like a little solo node that I'm working on right here by myself. In the background though, you see that larger one with the copper veins in it. That's like a group one, and to do that you need a whole group. If you try to do it solo, you'll never take it down and get anything from it. Then we also have skinning. There's lots of different animals here. There's gonna be multiple types of all of these resources, right? And so lots of different types of animals for different kinds of leather. There's different types of ore like copper and gold and silver, different kinds of stone and different types of trees. To get all this stuff, you're gonna need different tools to be able to harvest it. So you start with the axe and you can get wood, and you use 3 pieces of wood together and you craft a rune stone hammer. And then of course you can use the hammer to get some stone. And then with 2 pieces of wood and stone, then you can make a pick. And of course you use the pick to get ore. And so 2 pieces of wood and some ore is going to make your last tool, the rune stone knife. Now, once you've gotten a bunch of resources, you can use those to make some awesome items like weapons and armor. And this system is really cool because it's more open and freeform. There's recipes, but they don't ask for specific items. It doesn't say you need 3 pieces of, rare copper. It just says 3 pieces of ore or 5 pieces of wood. And so you can use any of the items you want to fill in the blanks. The great thing about this is that means all of the different kinds of resources are going to be useful throughout the entire game. A lot of games you have this low level stuff that no one ever uses once they get past, leveling up their crafting or whatever. But here you can see I made a copper bar and that gave critical hit chance. That's one of the statistics. One of the properties of copper is it gives crit. So even if you've been playing the game for a year and you have a ton of money and all this stuff, if you want crit, you're still using copper. It never becomes obsolete. And now the way it works to make something, I'm making a rapier here for my duelist. It's going to take different components. So I need a thin blade, which is going to use 2 pieces of metal, 2 metal bars. It needs a hilt, which is a pommel, and all this sort of stuff, right? The cross guard. And so there's all these components that you can use the different items and resources to fill in. This one here, I made a mining seal. That's one of the additional components you can add in, but it's optional. You don't have to. Right? You can just make the base item if you want, or you can add all this other extra stuff into it. And then depending on all the items, if you did all copper, it would have all crit, but if you mix and match, you can have different parts to that. Now there's also the experimentation phase here, and you see the top, the green bars where it said remaining. That's how many experimentation points I get to use. That's based on how skilled as a crafter I am. And then below that, you could see I could only put a maximum of 3 in each one of those. That's based on the quality of the resources I used in it. So if you're just using, green items, that's not too bad. But if you use legendary, you're going to have way more points that you can put into the different experimentation parts. And the higher, the better you do at experimenting, if you get like a really good success and you can put a lot of points in, that's going to raise all those statistics. So you do more crit or you do more damage and all this sort of stuff. So you can see there's multiple layers on there between the items, you know, the resources you're putting in, the quality of those, the research points you put in, and then you combine all those stuff together. And you should see the armor. There's so many different components that you can add that have their own subcomponents that you can add. There's just a ton of stuff. It's kind of crazy. The last thing we're going to talk about is the training system, passive training system, and everybody gets to pick one universal skill tree they want to be good at. This can be between combat or stealth or tracking or animal husbandry. There's also the crafting and harvesting trees are found in the universal skill tree as well. That's separate from your archetypes, which you saw down below. And so everybody's going to have to pick how to use their one universal tree if you want to be good at crafting or gathering and harvesting, or at combat. Now, if you pick, let's say, the harvesting tree here, you see you can get different bonuses like a chance to critically harvest ore, which would give you better quality ore or more plentiful, so you get more. But you also get to specialize in what you want to be good at, right? Gathering ore, stone, hide. You can also pick like wood. So let's say you decide you want to be a lumberjack and you specialize in harvesting wood. Then you can narrow it down even further to what type of wood you want to be good at, spruce or ash or yew. And those will give you specific bonuses when harvesting that type of tree. So you can see it really narrows it down, gives you a really defined focus of what type of gatherer and crafter you want to be in Crowfall, because when there's like, you know, a really rare resource, you're not going to want to have one of your guildmates who's a total novice doing it. You're going to want that one person who's really, really good at harvesting that kind of resource to be out there with you and doing it. There's also an entire crafting tree available as well. There's basic crafting, and then there's jewel crafting. You can specialize in tailoring, stonemasonry, necromancy, rune making, woodworking, blacksmithing, and leatherworking as well. Now, the crafting basics is going to give you some general, increases like more experimentation points, faster crafting time. There's also a bunch of thrall nodes that you can put your training into. We didn't even talk about thralls. That's a whole nother topic. But the quick version is they're NPCs that you use. You give them resources and they craft stuff for you. But you can see there's a ton of options for crafters. And then there's also the specialized trees as well. So if you want to be a better blacksmith, this is going to give you things like new recipes, new weapon recipes that you would only have if you trained in this, better durability, all these sorts of things you'll find in the crafting trees as well. Now, besides being a harvester or a crafter yourself, there's also the leadership tree, which is going to give buffs to anyone in your group if you're the leader of the party. So if you have a bunch of friends, you have a guild or whatever, and you want to go out there with them, you can give them these bonuses. Now there's combat bonuses, but there's also harvesting and crafting as well. So if you're one of those people that's, with a bunch of friends and you like to go out and go fishing for hours on end in other games, you can go out there and you have one person that's good at gathering ore and another one at stone. And, maybe you're the person that you don't gather yourself as much, but you have all these really awesome bonuses you give to your friends. So as you can see, there is a ton of stuff involved when it comes to crafting in Crowfall. We had just a quick first look at harvesting, all the different sorts of wood, different kind of trees and stone and ore and skinning, the tools you need, and how the quality really affects the items that you make in crafting. If you have a low quality item, remember, you're not going to get as many experimentation points and those stats won't be as high. And so when you're out there and you get that legendary piece of wood, that's actually really exciting, which I think is great. Crafting in Crowfall is going to be meaningful. It doesn't treat its crafters like second class citizens or as an add-on, right? A second thought anymore. It's super, super important to have great harvesters and crafters in the game because all of this stuff is really meaningful. Remember, this game is crafter run. It's player driven economy. So there's no items that drop from mobs or dungeons or quests, things like that. All the items are coming through this process. And so if you're a crafter, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Is this something that you're excited for? Is this the kind of system you've been looking for? I think it sounds really great. I'm super excited to see where it goes from here. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.